Hello everyone and welcome, this is Common and Cam. In today's video I'm going to be talking about one particular scene that didn't work overall in Netflix's Transfers War for Cybertron Kingdom. Now in general, if you've heard my review right now, there's a lot of things that didn't work in Kingdom for me personally. The show was overall just a disappointment and a bit of a letdown to some of the characters I was most looking forward to. I hope that this season would kind of reinvent and reignite the spark of the old characters that we loved from Beast Wars. But sadly, that just didn't happen, and I couldn't have been more disappointed for one particular character. Now Megatron, a complete butchering of that original Beast Wars character. And yes, I know I've talked about that character enough. If you want more information, do check out that. But there's another character that I mentioned in that video that I was going to talk about in a different video, and that being of course Dinobot. Dinobot is an infamous character from the Beast Wars continuity. He was the main standout. It wasn't long for him to make it into the Hall of Fame of Transformers because he is that memorable. And to be honest, that does have its price because, well, when you make a character that memorable, that standout, it's hard to kind of replicate that for different reboots over the course. Ever since Beast Wars Dinobot, we've not had another Dinobot character at all up until now. And there was a lot of different ways they could have approached it. They could have either extended the life of that character and kind of venture out more instead of just copying, that character, because it's only 6 episodes, and this character doesn't even get 6 episodes, he only gets 3, well, kind of 4, technically, if you count his whole ghost thing. Of course, I'm talking about his death in Kingdom. Now, when it comes to Beast Wars, they had 35 episodes to build up, to develop Dinobot's character, to figure out who he is, to have the inner conflict from his Maximal and Predacon side, and then build it up to a noble sacrifice that we all remember from the Season 2 episode Code of a Hero. It had payoff, it had depth. Of course we all know the ins and outs. If you don't, his toy was basically just cancelled, and with that cancellation of the toy, the writers decided, well, let's give him a noble death. Of course, Dinobot came back anyway in Season 3, but it technically wasn't the same Dinobot, it was a clone, and people have opinions how they kind of feel about that, but at least that was somewhat different, that was a clone, and that clone kind of had some redemption quality to the original Dinobot Spark towards the end anyway. But of course, this is Kingdom, and a lot of people have been saying, well, they wanted something different, something new, instead of the original kind of canon from Beast Wars. And it's like, yeah, we all agree, we wanted something different, something new. What's the point of just replicating the same story beats from Beast Wars when we've already had Beast Wars? And with Kingdom, it was like, okay. And with Megatron's character, it was like, okay, we're not going to get the same Megatron. Okay, at least it's something new, something different. But that didn't pan out. But the thing is with Dinobot is that while they decided to kind of keep his story the same, but they just kind of changed his character around it. It's like, alright, we still want him to die, but it's like, how are you expecting me to care for a character that only appears in 3 episodes, and the 3rd episode is, of course, his death? We've got other characters mingling around as well. I don't know really what the kind of angle is for Dinobot's story in Kingdom. Like, are they just trying to relive the past? It's like with Optimus Prime, he dies in almost every incarnation. Not everyone, of course, but it's just an old concept where, okay, with Dinobot, we were expecting a new concept. We weren't expecting the same. And I don't know if they went with that just because it was kind of a safety. It's like, okay, is Dinobot's character all about him dying? Is that his entire arc? I hope at least with the Beast Wars comic, that Dinobot's character will at least be somewhat different. It's okay maintaining the same traits. That's the reason why we love that character in the first place. And I think Beast Wars characters kind of suffer with that because they are the only incarnations that we know of. So if you're going to include a character like Dinobot again, it's like, okay, you have the time, the opportunity to give us a completely new Dinobot, while still maintaining some of the aspects that we loved from, the original Beast Wars. Of course, carry that on if you want. But if you're just going to give us the same storyline, but just in a shorter span, it's like, what's new there? What's reinventive about it? It's just going to become the same, except this time there'll be no tears. I don't believe for a second anybody cried during Dinobot's death scene during a Kingdom. There's just no way, because how could you feel attached to a character that we didn't get enough time with? You know what I mean? And I feel like if any of the Beast Wars characters had died, we wouldn't feel the same either. throughout Kingdom, we have him defect from Megatron straight away as soon as, the Decepticons come in, and then he kind of plays around with the idea with Black Arachne and Starscream, but then that is short-lived. And people might be saying, well, that's what happened in the original Beast Wars cartoon anyway, he defected straight away. It's like, yeah, but we had more episodes to develop that. We went into the psyche of why he did. We didn't get exposition, left, right, and centre explaining that. It felt like we had to earn Dinobot's character to let us in more to his personality. But the only thing we know about Dinobot, really, the only things we get to know about him is his conversations with Airazor. But the thing is that that's just exposition. All we get from Dinobot most of the time is exposition. We don't get any sort of mystery to him. We don't get any some sort of like inner conflict riddle. Like, he's pretty much explaining how he feels so much, where the original Dinobot never did that. It took a few episodes to figure out that character, to figure out what he's really feeling. He wasn't so blunt, he wasn't so out there. He was blunt when it came to his fighting style, because he was an honourable warrior, that's what he prided himself on the most. But when it comes to this Dinobot, he's pretty much explaining everything he does, and that's just not something the Dinobot character is something to be remembered for. It's like, okay, and it's actually most of the characters throughout Kingdom as well. Most of the dialogue is literally just exposition, just a character explaining what's going to be happening next. There's no kind of real conflict or any inner conflict at all, and there's no relationships to be founded upon with Dinobot at all. The only relationship that Dinobot has a connection to is Airazor, and they only have a few exchange dialogues. Like, they only speak, I think, twice or 3 times, maybe in the show in general. And we're expected to believe that, he's been conflicted about the Maximals if he should join their side for a long while. But then when it comes to his actual death scene, he's talking to Optimus Prime, or they're making jokes towards each other, how, he would have been a terrible Maximal. And it's like, they want us to feel that, but it's like, if you didn't know Beast Wars, if you didn't have that in your head, in the back of your mind, you probably wouldn't have laughed. But I didn't laugh anyway, and I obviously have watched all of Beast Wars. I just felt the reason in my head I just didn't kind of connect when he was dying was because, well, he doesn't know any of these characters. He gives Optimus Prime the Matrix, and it's a good looking image, him giving the Matrix to Optimus Prime. That's a good image, but like, there's nothing that's kind of earned that kind of respect towards each other, because, well, he doesn't know Optimus Prime. He doesn't know Optimus Primal. They're just giving us dialogue filler of like, oh yeah, we've been at war with each other for a while, you would have been a terrible Maximal and all that kind of stuff. It's like, but we've never seen it. We've never seen him with any other Maximal than Airazor, and it's like, okay. And another thing that takes me out of his Dinobot character is that he lacks kind of fun, or at least his sense of wit. Like, he has no kind of grovel in his voice, when he makes snappy remarks to Rat Trap. Rat Trap had a line with him in Kingdom, and it's like, it's obviously reminiscence to their relationship in Beast Wars, but it's like, we've never seen it in this show, so I don't really feel that. I don't get that click of connection, that rivalry that they had in the original cartoon. And they're obviously trying to replicate the old Dinobot. They want us to feel something in this scene. It's like, oh yeah, Dinobot, you remember him from Beast Wars? Well, just take all of that emotion you have for him in that show and then put it into this show. And, seeing him die twice, you're definitely going to cry again, right? And it's like, no, I don't know this Dinobot. He doesn't actually remark any sort of resemblance to the original Dinobot. It feels like a fake copy. It feels like an impersonation. It's like he's trying to be that Dinobot, but you don't get that. You don't get to do that. And he's just not got his kind of sarcastic humor at all. There's no kind of personality to this Dinobot for me to feel anything at all. And that's a really disappointment, really. I expected something a little bit better or a little bit different, but unfortunately this Dinobot is just, I know, it's just a waste. It's kind of just wasted potential, especially to kill him off so early. It's like, okay, if you were at least gonna make him just be exposition boy all the entire time, you could have at least developed him a little bit further. But the closest we get is the 4th episode, where he's guiding Optimus Primal to Optimus Prime in the temple with the AllSpark. That's pretty much it. And he just kind of flies away. It's done. And it's like, okay, thanks for bringing back a character just to kill him again. The reason why we connected so well with Beast Wars Dinobot was because there was time, there was effort, there was energy. And obviously that's a fault with the episode time limit. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to skip to the story beat? And it's like, well, with the time that we have, I don't think they should have risked it and just killed him off like that. I don't think it was worth it. Just because, we're only going to get 6 episodes with these Beast Wars characters and that's it. And it wasn't obviously enough time to really feel something. Maybe it could have been, if the writing was you know, a bit more smarter, a bit more better. You know, they've got so many plot lines and story arcs and loads of throwbacks already crammed into this 6-episode season, you know, to make fans go like, oh yes, you know, we're getting these characters again. But the plot is just too much, and there's too much exposition because we need more exposition to explain what's going on because they're throwing in so much. But sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out who this show is for, really. Obviously, it's a bit of both. It's to drive in new fans, but then also old fans. But then I just feel more confused with the new fans because they're like, okay, it's like, just please go watch Beast Wars. If you're a new fan to Transformers and you're watching this video and you're kind of curious why I don't like this scene, please watch Beast Wars and maybe you'll understand then, you know, but I doubt this series has drawn in new audiences at all. Like, what are we kidding? I don't know, the fighting felt sloppy as well in Kingdom. You know, unlike Code of a Hero, you know, you felt like that Dinobot was actually fighting for his life. You know, you felt like he was a warrior and he had a certain set of skills. But in Kingdom, Dinobot just felt like he was dodging a lot, or he was getting lucky. You know, he was versing Soundwave and both Megatrons. I don't know, they just felt like cheap shots sometimes. It didn't feel like he had strategy at all. He was just kind of winging it. You know, they could have expanded that character just a little bit more, give him more spotlight. You know, maybe this Dinobot didn't need to die. You know, think about that, you know, expand on this character. But it's just unfortunate because I feel like Dinobot's just going to be the character now. It's like, alright, he just dies all the time. And, you know, it's going to be a while until we see a new incarnation of the Dinobot. The best we have, the hope we have, is the Dinobot incarnation in the Beast Wars comic that's going off lately. I still need to look at that, but, you know, hopefully, you know, he doesn't kind of suffer the same cliche fate as we know before. And I can understand why it might be particularly hard to write Dinobot, because when you make a character of Dinobot, like from the original Beast Wars cartoon, because it's so iconic, because he stands out, it's actually hard to replicate it. You know, Optimus Prime died in the movie, but like, he's Optimus Prime. You know, you can kind of rewrite him about, you know, because he is the main bot, he is the main character. But Dinobot is just a side character. He was just a side character in Beast Wars. So writing a new arc for him when he's kind of like, you know, just a side character, I can imagine how difficult it is. And I felt like it wasn't worth writing the death scene again, you know, because it was just like, we've already seen this, you know, give us something new and different. Then people might be like, well, Optimus Prime dies all the time. And it's like, yeah, don't you not think that's a cliche as well? Like, we get sick and tired of seeing him die all the time. It's no wonder why characters like Waspinator were taken out of his show or wasn't included, because, well, they would have sucked out the entire seriousness. You know, Waspinator had a bit of fun, a bit of edge to him, and Dinobot had that as well. You know, he had a bit of a sarcastic personality. You know, he had jokes that was aimed towards Rat Trap and the rest of the Maximals, you know, poking fun of them sometimes. But that's completely ripped apart, and we never see it. You know, we never see that kind of level of humour from Dinobot, and unfortunately this Dinobot just becomes a stone in the face. You know, he's got no expression. You know, he has a little bit of conflict, but it's never really expanded upon for us to really care. And that will be the end note for this video. I just didn't care for this Dinobot because they didn't give me a reason to. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. How did you feel towards this scene? There'll be a new video coming out soon where I'll be doing a discussion with Keenan Carlisle about Transformers Kingdom. He'll be talking about what went wrong with the series, so be sure to stay tuned for that. It should be a lot of fun. As always, share me your thoughts in the comment section below, and for more Transformers news and videos like this, be sure to subscribe, click on that notification bell to get all updates instantly. Till the next video, goodbye.